Let's move into our demonstration. In this demonstration, I'd like to examine our inside and outside networks and take a look at the security levels and trustworthiness associated with each side. I'd like to test connectivity from the inside to the outside by browsing to a website and then examining the TCP state table on the firewall to show that the firewall is maintaining the state of that session. Next, I'd like to test connectivity from the outside coming inside. And while we're doing that, I'd like to examine the firewall logs showing that that traffic is being denied as it's trying to come into our network. Here's the demonstration network that I've configured. So over on the left, I have an inside PC and an inside web server, and both of those are on the same network. In the middle, I have a Cisco ASA 5512 firewall, and on the inside interface, I've configured the 10.0.0.1 address. Then on the outside interface of that firewall, I've configured that with a public address of 203.0.113.87. And I've placed two devices out on the internet. I have an internet PC, which you can see in the upper right-hand corner, and the outside web server, which you can see in the lower right-hand corner. And those IP addresses are labeled accordingly. And what this will allow us to do is it'll allow us to browse from the inside PC, which is the workstation that I'm doing this presentation from. The coloring of the drawing matches the background desktop image for the workstations that I'll be working with. So the PC that I have here on the inside will have a gray or black background, and the internet PC is going to have a blue background. To talk about security zones on a Cisco ASA 5512, we're actually going to talk about security levels. And the security levels on a Cisco device are set by numbers. So in our trusted zone on the Cisco device, we're going to set that to 100, the highest number we can. It is the most trusted. And our outside interface is the untrusted zone, and we set that to 0, and 0 is the least trusted interface. Let's go take a look at that firewall configuration and then do some testing. So right now I'm on my inside PC at 10.0.0.99. We'll open up a command prompt and we can take a look at that, ipconfig. And we are on this workstation. My default gateway is set to my firewall. In order to configure the firewall, I have a couple ways to do that. One way is through SSH, and we will use SSH in a moment to take a look at the TCP state table. However, this Cisco firewall configures much better via this interface called the ASDM. It's a graphical user interface for the firewall. So I'm going to log in through this. And it is Java-based, so there's lots of Java warnings that come along with this particular software. Other firewalls that you purchase and implement are going to have different interfaces that you use. Almost all modern firewalls now, even the free Linux ones, have some type of graphical user interface affiliated with them. When we get into larger and larger networks and have lots of devices that we use and configure on the firewall, it just gets to be too messy to do it via the command line. All right, so here we have the firewall interface up, and I'm just going to move right into the configuration tab because what I want to do is take a look at the interfaces. And in the interfaces, right now, the one that I have highlighted, interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0, I've named that the inside interface, and I've given it a security level of 100 and the IP address 10.0.0.1, just like I've shown in my drawing. My outside interface, G01, I've given that a name of outside, a security level of 0, and the IP address, just as shown in the drawing, 203.0.113.87. So inside and outside interfaces have been established in our configuration. If I look at access rules, in the presentation, I talked about access rules, and I said essentially that traffic can flow from the trusted network to the untrusted and get the return traffic back, but it cannot flow from untrusted to trusted unless we explicitly allow it. Here in this access rules table, that's exactly what we should be able to see. Our inside interface, we have a rule on it, and it says the rule coming inbound into the inside interface says any source address can go to anywhere else as long as it's on a less secure interface. Meaning, the security level on the other interface that it's traveling to, the security level that the packet will travel out, must have a lower number than what's configured on the inside interface. Really what this is saying is it's giving a direction to the traffic and saying, allow the traffic from inside to outside. If we look at our outside rule says 0 incoming rules, meaning that everything is denied. And if I look at my implicit rule here, the global implicit rule that applies to all interfaces, the last rule there says any source address, any destination address, deny it. So the only traffic we're allowing through here is if we're coming from the inside interface going out. Let's try it out.